All right, bam. We are back on, not live because none of this is live. Everything's recorded. But Firecracker alumni, corny term, but you are. Janelle Lindvall. It's been a long time since we've been in the same dugout together. But gosh, it's been great getting together with you over this last few weeks. We've kind of connected again. And I just wanted to talk with you a little bit about what you're doing to develop your brand. I'm pleasantly surprised and extremely pleased that you're still part of the softball world.
Me too.
Because you didn't really think you were going to stick around, did you? I mean, did you, when you were playing ball, did you plan on sticking around in the softball world?
No. I would, if you would have told me this 4 years ago when I graduated that I would be running a softball company doing this for a living, I would have told you were crazy.
Because after you finish your career at Oregon and the success that you had, softball's something that you do, but it doesn't define you. You're Janelle Lindvall. So you were ready to move on and be Janelle, right? Get to Hawaii, or what were your aspirations? Because then you combined it all anyways, but did you have other aspirations that just ended up taking a left turn?
100%. Yeah. So when I was finishing up playing, I was in this mindset that I was going to be done. I wanted to be a regular person. I wanted to wear normal clothes. I wanted to go to the beach. I didn't want to be told where to be. And I thought
Find yourself getting mad if somebody says, you want to stick around in softball, give lessons? You're like, leave me alone.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Didn't go into the draft. Didn't go back to Team USA. I was done. I thought I was totally done. And then I came home and I thought I was going to, have a normal job. And did that for a while, and then, I kind of started giving lessons accidentally, not in my hometown, not really, intentionally. I got asked to start, and I did it in high school, in my high school, but nothing formally. So I started it accidentally, and
how did it start to grow on you? Was it just you found yourself? Okay, so it kind of acquires itself, right? You start with one and you get five, and you've got to, it's because you're not marketing at first, right? You're just doing what you're doing, but then people love what you're doing. So then they're telling two friends and they're telling two friends, right? And then did you find yourself kind of knee deep in it and going, this isn't as bad as I thought? Like, when did it start to stick?
Yeah, it was 100% after I got to know the girls, and it started to become a weekly thing. And to be honest, people who watch this, who played with me or coached me, you get this. I was shocked that I was able to give a hitting lesson. To be honest, I don't, mechanics weren't really my forte. I didn't, catching. I could talk all day about catching. Hitting, it's more, the mental stuff and the mentality, but no, it wasn't the softball. It was that I felt myself connecting with these girls and felt that they were looking forward to it. They were feeling happy. They were improving. They were so excited to come back that even if I thought I was doing it for the money or for the business aspect, it was like, I almost felt like I was letting them down, man, that girl's going to be upset if she doesn't get her session this week, So I started doing it, and then.
So they started working their way in here a little bit with you as you started spending time with them, right?
100%.
Did you find yourself like not okay with just giving a lesson, but you had expectations? You wanted to hear them getting better. You wanted to hear because you can give a lesson and, again, we can't get out there and watch all the students and things like that, but, it's important for them to progress, right? So did you find yourself like saying, hey, and getting into the talking aspect of a lesson? Did that start to work its way in a little bit more as well?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, you were good for me, realizing that it's not about what you know as a coach. It's about the relationship you create before you share what you know. It's because it's, very few people got through to me. You were one of them, right? But it was because there was love and respect before you cussed me out. There was, it's
that foundation on top of the
100%.
Stuff. Right.
Yeah. So it was, I had a little bit of knowledge of that, right? I studied psychology. I understand, that there's something that needs to be developed first. Some of the parents would give me backstories on these kids, and, it ended up being, yeah, it was more like the more I learned about them, the more I got involved with their lives, the more I knew, got to know more about them outside of softball, the more invested I became,
Sure.
So
And it has its way of growing on you. Well, you talk about it. When I first met you, and when we first kind of had the opportunity to work together and brought you to our team, it was really about learning to manage the game in your mind, right? So we didn't do a ton of physical work. We shaped you physically and worked on some timing and some different things like that. But earlier we were talking about, there are pitchers that know how to pitch and throw a pitch, but how many pitchers know how to win? And Janelle, that was your value. So coming in your first year into the Firecrackers, and what were the contractual terms that you were going to be guaranteed 80% of playing time your first year? And you came on as a freshman to our team, right? Freshman in high school.
Yeah, it was the pup. I was the puppy. I was, yeah, I got barked at. I remember, so I knew like making that move. I knew I was going to be the baby. I knew I was not going to be
the key player, the top dog,
right? But I didn't know I would be like embarrassed. Like I remember getting behind Ensley. I think the first pitcher I caught was Ensley's drop ball, and I think I got hit in the crotch like 3 times in a row, just like full blown missed it. Like couldn't even catch it.
She had a good
one. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember our offensive rounds, ground ball to the right side. That was so tough for me. That whole first year, it was like I went from that one.
You kind of had what we call a quick trigger. You liked it. You had that short little swing. So you letting that ball get another 6 to 12 inches deeper in the zone was a little challenging for you.
Yes. So, no, I mean that was
a year of learning, right? That was a year of basically. My plan was for you to come in there and watch Jessica Schultz.
Right.
Right? Because
I had known, backstory, who I had known my whole life. So her father got my family into softball.
Bob Schultz. Jessica Schultz.
Coached my older sister, got Devin into softball, and Devin and Jessica were the same age. So they grew up playing together. And then
I'm going to stop you real quick. I think Bob Schultz needs his own quarantine show. I don't know. Do you think it's a big hit or not a hit at all? But I just see Bob doing this right now. So let's get a shout out to Bob.
It'd be an entertaining one, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh, bro, babe, bro.
Yes.
Babe.
Yes. Yeah. So we had known the family, and Jessica had gone out and played for you, and that was how I got introduced to the organization in general. Got on Bill's team, but
which was a great team. I mean, I mentioned that team a lot because Bill did a really good job of providing a platform for those players that went on to our team that did some really, really great things. So that was an important year. That first time I saw you in Colorado, and then, and again, was it the home run? Obviously that didn't hurt, but it's just, I don't know. There's certain things that sink in because I told you it was you getting angry when you had a chance to win the game and the girl hit you with a pitch. And it was the way you threw the bat down. And it's because you don't know, right? Like, okay, you could be physically talented, but let's say you're not into it. Or you're just not, you can't force ambition, right? You can inspire. And so I saw competitiveness in you, right? And so that was
I remember that day. I remember I knew your team was watching, and I'm like, Jessica Schultz is back there. This girl better get me.
And you so don't carry yourself like that at all. So it's kind of cool to know you are human and stuff like that. So you came aboard, and it was a year of watching and kind of looking and seeing what happens to Schultz because of the responsibility that I put on our catchers, right? And becoming, when a catcher is a winning catcher or knows how to manage a game so that you're affecting the outcome, what does that mean? I mean, what's the difference? Does it mean you're a great blocker and you got a great arm and you're throwing everyone out? I mean, talking to catchers in general, they're still kind of underfed as far as instruction goes. There's some good stuff out there, but there's a lot of them still needing knowledge. So what's a winning catcher, Janelle? What does it take to be a winning catcher? What does it mean?
Well, for me personally, all that stuff was when the game started becoming like fun for me personally. When I started understanding that component to the game, but for what it meant for the team, what it meant for the pitchers, what it meant for people around me was that, there was a rhyme and a reason to why everything was done. I don't think people understand that how much goes into strategy or the thought process behind every move that's made behind the plate. You know, and we sit there under a mask. I don't think people really know what's going on. The average, you know, spectator has no clue what's actually being done, and that you're back there pulling strings the whole time, you know.
Do you remember that it's important for me to get you out from behind your mask so that people could see? So taking your mask off, walking out there, talking, calling a timeout when you need to call timeout. It's so much a mindset and a behavior. And it's all that, you know, you learn in school about interstitial fluid, right? In that interstitial space, it's all that in between and the connectivity. And you are the one position on the field that faces everybody. It's, you know, again, it's an obvious thing, but people don't think about that. So you are the absolute glue. And you personally, and our catchers, I mean, we talked about this, and our legacy of catchers actually goes back to Jenny Topping back in the 90s. And Jenny Topping was actually the first one to throw from her knees. I mean, there was an inning at Nationals one year where we walked one batter and JT picked her off of first base. And John Dakes was coaching for this team. That was the last year he was coaching with Stealth, and then he came over to us afterwards. So first runner gets on first base, JT picks her off. Second runner gets a base hit, batter gets a base hit, boom, JT picks her off. And you heard John Dakes say to the third runner gets on, I think Aaron walked her or something. And you hear John Dakes go, "Don't take a lead." Oh, and then JT picks her up, picked off 3 kids off of first base at Nationals. And she was the first one that really threw from her knees. Wasn't branding, wasn't putting herself out there. Left-handed. Yeah, left-handed. Nasty, man. Just would get you. And then Megan Willis came in early 2000s from Arizona and really pronounced her brand. So I believe that I can't think of too many catchers before Megan that really initiated that throwing from the knees, and it became kind of a national type thing where you saw people starting to teach it. So we kind of go through, and then, you know, we went through, and then the success of our catchers started with then Melissa Roth, who went on to be an All-American in Team USA. But then it went from Mel to Jessica, and then from Jessica to you, and then from you to Genevieve, and from Genevieve to Mary. So the success of our catchers, you know, has been a great thing to watch. And the common denominator for all of you, it was the systematic managing. You know, that's the one thing that we wanted to provide for you, was your ability to control the game, because you were all different. But
it wasn't micromanaged, right? Like you didn't tell me those things that didn't come out your mouth. It wasn't something that was said. We do this and we do that and we do that. It's not. That's what's so hard. That's why this doesn't exist, because it's not. There's not a formula. It's like it's intuition. It's, you know, I got that experience from watching you watch the game, watching your reaction to the game. I mean, I didn't have that perspective before I sat there on the fence and wanted to be playing the whole time.
And it's nothing you want to sign up for. It's nothing, especially when you're used to being on the field, but it's a different type of insight, right? I experienced it my freshman year in college, and I was just fascinated that we were just destroying people because of our systematic play. So you experience my obsession is not to win. I compete to win and being very competitive. My obsession is how we play. My obsession and the unforgiveness and the unrelenting part of not allowing mindsets, a lack of intuition, allowing mistakes to be made over and over and over again, not smelling, not seeing what's going on. That was the discomfort part. But it's as a coach, you know, you can only hope that your players know that you love them and care about them, because that's where, you know, obviously we wouldn't be talking now if it was all just about the hard ass stuff. But, you know, you have to temper. You have to know you're resilient, and it doesn't mean that everyone needs to get the same treatment. But with our catchers, the expectation was so high because they had the ability to call timeout when we only get so many timeouts, and you can go out there and you can take care of it. She just bounced 2 balls in a row, so you know if that third one bounces, I'm gonna get on you. And so managing that game pitch to pitch. I don't know if you remember, and if you were catching the catcher when Ensley threw her back-to-back no-hitters in Colorado. So we went from
that was my freshman year, so no, I was not catching.
But do you remember that? Do you remember doing that? We went from one game, and I think we went through in 5 innings, and I said, let's just keep her rolling. She freaking threw a no-hitter in the next game, and I don't think we've ever had back-to-back no-hitters in 2 games like that. That's how well you can perform when you're locating pitches and stuff like that. So you and I talked a little bit about, you know, in a perfect world for me, I'd love to not phase out and disappear off the screen, but connect like our alumni, right? And really hear the stories of our alumni. And so do you think that's something that we could do? And that's something that I would love to, I don't know, whether it's a conversation maybe with our catcher sometime, maybe we can look over game footage, or honestly, I'd love to disappear and kind of hear you and not just rip on me, but man, did he give it to you then? Did he give it to you? You know, what do you think that would be like? Do you think we could do that and kind of connect with some alumni?
I think that would be an incredible experience for me personally, for us, but also for the softball community to hear that, because it is something that's tough to teach in drills. It's tough to teach in in a controlled environment. It's all because I learned all that through experience, right? So I think, sharing stories and talking about those moments, I think that's the best way to give people an idea of what we're talking about, because those are things that, spent in lessons. It's like, yeah, it's more telling stories of what I did in a situation and how I read what she felt and what was happening. And it's not a repetition thing, it's,
it can be funny, not that this is a pleasant visual, but I can remember one of our catchers, blowing a pretty good snot rocket in the dugout and scaring everybody in there. And, or they could just be, hey, remember that game when, Allie Allen, threw one inside and broke the face mask off a player that had just hit one of our players in the head, or, but I'd love to not only just hear your stories, but, what each of the alumni kind of got out of the program and stuff like that. From myself, this is just my testimony to a coach I played for. I could not thank him enough for the boundaries and, the what I wasn't looking to learn and what I ended up learning is the reason I've been able to experience things that most coaches don't, because I was lucky enough to play in a program. So to provide something for you guys that was able to round some things out, and, honestly, with this stuff that's been happening with the quarantine, you're not this kind of person. I could sit there and go, oh, I miss you guys. You're not that kind of person. I'm not that kind of person, but I do.
I miss you.
I do miss you, and it's fun to talk with you, and it's, I think it would be interesting. I'm not the kind of guy that lives in the past. I like to kind of move forward, but I think that this is about storytelling.
And I think you should let us tell. I mean, this isn't about you sharing what you taught us. This is about us sharing what we know and what, how it helped us. And I mean, I can personally vouch that I think about you more on a day-to-day than I do on a softball field,
So who could we start with? What names kind of pop to mind? Who would you want to put in a Zoom room and kind of hear what they have to say about either the old uniforms or whatever? I don't know. Anyone's come to mind?
I mean, that list we just named. I mean, if you want to stick to catchers, I think.
Put you and Mel and Jess in a room, and you guys can compare Tony Horse.
Firecracker eras, stories about you, why we, how we think, our training and our experience, helps us. We're all still in the softball world, but I think more importantly, the real world, I mean, I think about you all the time. I remember my parents, and, actually as well, you'd say something to us on the field where people who don't know you would be like, why the hell is he saying that to a 12-year-old? It's like, that makes no sense. Is her 2-year-old's going to burn her fingers on the burner? People don't get those analogies. And, I'm 26 years old now, and it's not like I've had crazy life experience, but on a day-to-day, I think about things. I mean, we've had health issues in my family. People who know me, I don't do shots. I cry. I don't do hospitals. I have a weird phobia, but the types of conversations I've had, decision-making I've had to do, and I go back to like, how was I able to do that? How was I able to navigate through that? Yeah. And it all comes.
How about Veterans Day or Memorial Day? Still stick in your head?
I'm living near a name because it makes me happy. I went to Hawaii. All my friends I met were in the military. I don't come from a military background. My family didn't instill that in me. It's all our memories. Yes, I love the beach, and I've always liked sunsets. So yeah, that's not all credited to us, but that was part of what we did. We appreciated that.
It was somewhere where we met in the middle because you loved him. We already had an appreciation. I tell you, it's a pretty cool, weird thing when you have a player on second base in a sixth inning of a game, and you're about to give a sign, and she looks at you and she points at the sky and goes, "Hey, Tony, look at the sunset behind me." And you're like, and that kind of like, man, that's pretty freaking cool, man, because we're in this thing and we're trying to score a run, but you haven't lost sight that sky is changing colors right now, and that you just captured a little bit of that artwork. So I think that's really cool. So what would you say right now to, I don't know, do you need to let Shy and some players know that, hey, you guys need to be ready because I'm going to be reaching out to you? So
I think it would be interesting if we stick to, I think we should talk to all the catchers for sure. And I think if we want to discuss, game strategy and more things that aren't,
how do we not talk about Shy, how she could pound a screwball in on your hands, and then all she cared about was hot dog she was going to get when she hit the home run, right? And you know what's funny, Janelle, is well, I say funny, but I mean, it's kind of ironic that Shy's the one that hit the grand slam to win us the gold medal in South Africa, and knowing Shy, I mean, again, just stories, right? Kylie, like you guys could just go on. So I want you to give them a heads up. Okay. Let them know you're coming after them. We don't know what we're going to do with this. It's just a concept off the ground, but it's just going to be connecting FC alumni with some of the stories of the past. And, it's not always going to be about Sunday school stuff. I expect you to get real with it, but let's just kind of see where it goes. I just really appreciate you wanting to step forward and provide some story time and some of the history of what we've all been through. And so we'll kind of take it from there. I'll let everyone know that, look, just keep your eyes open. We've got so many things coming out. We don't want to flood people and drown you, but we do feel like we've got a lot of people of interest that I think it's our responsibility to capture them. So
I do. And I think too often people like me share about college experiences, share about USA experiences, share about pro experiences, but sharing that isn't helping a athlete who's getting recruited. We have, our athletes are young, and I want to share stories of what we were like at their age, not what we were at.
Relatable stories, and maybe of the tough times too, or the vulnerabilities and stuff. People see you confident and beautiful, but they've got to know that you're a real person on the inside. That, just like you said, whether it's hospitals or whatever, right? We all have our fears, right?
100%.
Good stuff. You're awesome. Thank you. I love you a lot. Thanks for spending the time, and I'm looking for. I don't know what's around the next corner, Janelle, but it's usually really cool.
We're going to get a lot of computer time, Zoom time, and
we're going to see that. At the very least, we're going to spend more time together, and I'm looking forward to pulling in your ex-teammates and friends. So thanks a lot, and we're going to be talking to you real soon. All right?
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thank you.